You've been running a homebrew campaign and it recently ended prematurely, whether it was due to scheduling, real-life responsibilities, or any other reason. It can be pretty disappointing for both the GM and players to put all of that work into your game only for all of that work to go to waste. So, how can you avoid this happening again? There's some common advice out there depending on what caused your game to fizzle out to begin with, but I want to give a piece of advice that I personally haven't heard myself, in hopes that it can help you think from a different perspective. You see, the key to realizing that shorter games can really help games finish more often is to compare homebrew games to the opposite kind, pre-made modules. Over the 10 years or so I've been in the hobby, I've been in plenty of games both as a player and as the GM. And of course, there was a mix of homebrew and pre-made games. The thing is, pre-made games, at least in my circle, has a much higher completion rate than homebrew games, despite the games running longer. Here are some past pre-made games that have succeeded despite their length. In Pathfinder 1E, we have Curse of the Crimson Throne, Northland Saga, and Strange Aeons. And in D&D 5th edition, we have Curse of Strahd. All of these games took around a year and a half of weekly sessions to finish, except for Curse of the Crimson Throne, which might have taken 2 years, I think, due to scheduling stuff. We were in college at the time. What are the reasons pre-made games are easier to finish? Well, most of the prep is already done. All of the NPCs are made, all the monsters are statted out, the plot of the game has been written, and if you're using a VTT like Roll20 or Foundry, all of the battle maps have already been made and provided. The only thing needed to add is just other stuff you or the players want, or anything you want to change around, really. Past homebrew games that have succeeded, because there are a couple, but it's much less. It's usually various one-shots, which, you know, they're one-shots, they're easy to finish, and a homebrew campaign I ran called Lincoln Mansion, which was Resident Evil inspired. Now let me go into why Lincoln Mansion was the one homebrew game that actually reached an ending. But before I do, I'd super appreciate it if you consider giving the video a like if you're finding this advice helpful so far, and subscribe if you like TTRPG related videos or even gaming videos. My channel is currently trying to find its footing and it's in an experimental phase right now, so I have a variety of videos and things planned for the future, and I appreciate your support. Also, feel free to leave a comment about a story from your own homebrew games. I'd love to hear about some. So, why Lincoln Mansion managed to reach an ending? There is a lot of reasons why, but I'll keep it brief. It was a shorter campaign overall. It lasted about 6 to 7 months or so. There was less to prep overall, and it was a rather linear game because the game was mostly like a mega dungeon. It was a big dungeon crawl. So because of that, there was less possibilities for players to deviate, you know, kind of go off the path and cause you to do more prep work, just due to the fact that they had a limited area to explore, limited NPCs to talk to, and they didn't have the ability to completely knock down the wall and go somewhere else. So the map was smaller, which is even less prep. By the way, let me know if you like a video going into more detail about Lincoln Mansion, because it is the most successful campaign I've run, and I'd love to talk about it more. Your game doesn't have to be as long as a pre-made game, or last for years. This makes it less intimidating to prep for, and makes good jumping on or off points for players. So, you know, if you have anyone who wants to join your games or leave your game, doing it in between campaigns is less friction for those who believe that, you know, it has to be plot relevant for when someone joins or leaves. I don't know, everyone runs their tables differently. Instead of making a game to last for a couple of years, make one to last a couple of months. You can always make more. I'm confident that if you have less to prep for, you'll have a bigger chance of not being overwhelmed. A campaign is just a collection of linked adventures, so just let your campaign have less adventures and make more shorter campaigns. I personally have a couple of friends who have been writing and trying to put together campaigns for a long time now, and they've told me that they feel overwhelmed, that there is a lot of work to do. They feel like they have to prep every nook and cranny of the world, and it's just not necessary. I am actually a kind of a victim of that mindset, because there's a campaign that I've been prepping for the past couple years, and I eventually came to the realization that that's just not necessary. It really isn't. It really isn't. You'll never run your game ever because you'll always think of something else to prep. Just go for it, even if you have to do something shorter. Run shorter games and then make sequels to that game if you want to continue the story. You can tie the campaigns together as sequels if you like to tell a longer story. If you're thinking, wait, isn't that just running a normal campaign in length? Then you're correct. This is mostly a mind trick to help you feel less overwhelmed, and it's a natural way to add breaks in your campaigns so you don't feel like you always need to have a game ready for dozens of weeks in a row if you or your player's schedule doesn't make it easy. Scheduling is the biggest enemy of long-running games, or just organizing games in general, and having shorter games takes a lot of the pressure of commitment off. Breaking your campaign down into a month to 2 month long part 1 or part 2 or season 1 or season 2, etc. is much more manageable, less stressful, and easier to do than trying to keep a year-plus long campaign going smoothly. Prepping campaigns feels a little different in every system, so why not check out this video about my current favorite TTRPG system. If you're looking to try something other than D&D, this might be right up your alley.